if you sometimes hate your body, just know that that is because the entire society that we live in wants you to do exactly that. They benefit when we want to change ourselves, so today we're going to talk about how to stop giving into that and how to start healing your negative body image. If you don't know me, my name is Haley. I'm your realistic and balanced bestie, helping you build a stronger brain and body. Now, first we have to address that negative body image is completely different from body dysmorphia. A lot of times we refer to negative body image as body dysmorphia, the same way that sometimes people say that they're OCD, when really they just mean that they like to be clean and organized. And I think it's really important to understand the difference, because a lot of times when we associate with a psychological term like body dysmorphia, we are subconsciously just telling ourselves that by associating with that that's just how we are and that there's no cure for it. But when you realize that what you're actually dealing with is just negative body image, the part of your brain that's always looking for solutions can kind of be like, oh, okay, well, the opposite of negative is positive, so how do we get to there? How can we figure that out? And I've talked about confirmation bias and neuroplasticity on here before, but it's really important to understand that when you are thinking a certain thought over and over and over again, your brain is going to look for reasons to prove that thought right. So if you spent half your life thinking negatively about your body, your brain is looking for reasons to prove that right. And this might be why you think that you have body dysmorphia when you really might just be dealing with really intense negative body image, due to the fact that you've just been hammering your brain with negative thoughts about your body for as long as you can possibly remember. Now, of course, if you think that you're actually suffering from a case of real body dysmorphia, please go see a professional so that you can begin your healing journey with the proper support here. Now, back to healing the negative body image that literally every single person has experienced. And yes, I mean even the hourglass-shaped bleach blonde Instagram model that you follow, she has also experienced negative body image. Like I said, all of the industries that exist in our society want us to hate ourselves. They benefit from us hating ourselves. And that's because they want us to feel insecure so that we want to change things about ourselves. The makeup industry wants you to hate your nose so that you buy more contour. The fashion industry wants you to believe that body shapes can be trends so that you buy clothes that are gonna slim your body. The fitness industry wants you to believe that bloating is your magical problem, and if you fix that, you're gonna be skinny forever, so that you buy their anti-bloat powder. This is just how the system was designed, and if you actually go back and study marketing from the 1900s, you'll see that this is how it's been since it first started. They've been preying on our insecurities, and especially the insecurities of women. And this doesn't mean that understanding this makes it easy to get over and magically switch your mindset, but it does mean that we can take some of the pressure off of ourselves when it comes to feeling negatively about our body. So next time you're sitting there thinking, oh my god, it's literally my fault that I started thinking negatively about myself and now I'm gonna be stuck in this loop forever, you can remind yourself that it's actually just being programmed into you. And it's even in small things like scrolling on TikTok and watching a video that has nothing to do with the person's body, but you click on the comments and every single comment is like, drop the workout routine, what do you do, oh my god, body goals, and you're just like, whoa, I wasn't even thinking about this person's body, but now I suddenly am very aware of how this person's body looks. And as a personal trainer, I do feel the fear that I'm technically feeding into the system by helping people transform their bodies, but I do try to be really aware of the type of people that I take on, and I will only take on a one-on-one client if I know for a fact that they're going to be willing to put in the mental work to achieve whatever physical goal that they have. I also personally really try to prioritize how my clients feel over how they look, and focus on any goals that are going to be based around tangible aspects and things that we can actually really track, instead of things that are based around their weight. And I don't necessarily think that having a fitness goal is 100% harmful all the time, and we'll get into that a little later when I explain the process of how I help people set actually healthy goals. But I think that starting with just understanding how this system works and understanding that every single person does feel the same way really makes it a little bit easier to tackle this journey and really understand the process that we're about to go on. So let's get into the steps to actually heal your negative body image. Each step is going to have an assigned task with it that's going to be something that you can actually do to make actual progress towards this goal. And I've set these steps up in a very specific order because I do think that it's really important to have foundations of each step before you move on to the next one. I do have this topic set up as a course over on my app where you're going to get assigned readings, journal prompts, and meditations for each one of these steps. But if that's not your vibe and you just want the bare bone basics of how the fuck to heal your negative body image, let's get right into step one. Step one is compassion, because you really have to think about this the same way that you would react if a friend was coming to you and telling you that they had really negative body image, or maybe they were venting about how they looked in a certain picture, or they were just not feeling great in the outfit that they had on. The first thing you would do in that situation wouldn't be to bash this person for the thoughts that they are having or tell them that they're stupid for thinking that. No, you would literally just let them vent, and you would just be a listening ear to this person while they're getting all of these thoughts out of their head. And that is exactly what you have to do with yourself as well. So when you start to have a negative thought in your own mind, let's say that you're thinking, oh, my arms look so big today. Instead of spiraling or beating yourself up for having that thought, you want to validate it and you want to let yourself have this thought. And then the goal is to find a way to add a spin onto it. So you'll validate this thought about your arms feeling big today or thinking that your arms look big today. And you're going to add onto it by saying something like, but my arms allow me to carry my niece everywhere, or my arms allow me to bring in all of these groceries that I just bought. Find some way to add in a thought that's based around what your body does for you instead of how it looks. And this is essentially the concept of body neutrality and really just focusing on what your body can do instead of focusing on how your body actually looks. And I really think this is a great first step because you want to start to acknowledge these thoughts that you're having, but not attach yourself to these thoughts. And focusing on what your body is doing is a great way to kind of break that connection and stop yourself from thinking, oh, I had this thought about my body. That means that this is fact and this is part of my identity and part of my worth as a person. Because when you can break that cycle and you can start to tell yourself that what your body is doing is so much more important than how it looks, you're gonna slowly stop thinking so much about how your body looks and how your body is perceived in the world. Your task for this step is going to be to unfollow or mute anybody on social media that you think feeds into the likelihood of you comparing your body to them in any way. So even if it's someone that's your childhood friend, but you find yourself constantly looking at their pictures and constantly comparing your body to theirs, just mute them. You don't have to unfollow them. You don't have to block them. Just simply mute their page. And we're going to come back to this later because the goal is not to just have everybody muted and everybody blocked forever. The goal is to actually heal this trigger and find a way to get to the root of all of it so that you don't have to worry about feeling triggered when you see somebody posting a picture of their body or somebody posting anything based around what their body is doing, because that's just not a way to live. And you can't mute or block people in the real world. So we have to figure out how to heal this on our own because it is our responsibility. And speaking of getting to the root of it, step number 2 is inner child work. And when I say inner child, I mean anything from your inner toddler to your inner teenager or even your inner 22-year-old. The goal here is to think back and really remember when the first time that you found yourself having negative body thoughts was. So think if you can remember the first time that you experienced any kind of discrimination about your body, any kind of insecurity around your body, or any time that you turned down an opportunity because you were worried about how your body looked. Once we know the specific situation, your goal is to grab a journal. We are going to journal it out here, and you want to talk to yourself at this point in your life. So whatever this memory was for you, whether it was swimming when you were 8 years old or going to a birthday party when you were 14, whatever this time was, you really want to pretend that you were talking to this version of yourself and giving yourself the advice that you wish that you had during this time. And if it still feels a little bit uncomfortable to talk positively to yourself, this is where it could be really helpful to pretend like you're talking to your friend again. So imagining that your friend was just telling you these thoughts and you were just talking back to them, giving them the advice that you would give your best friend if they were struggling like this. Overall, again, you really want to validate how you are feeling in this moment, but you also want to try to find a way to give advice to yourself and tell you that there are so many more important things in the world than how your body looks. And your task for this chapter is actually to look at old pictures that you have and find things that you genuinely love about yourself in those pictures, whether it be your smile or the way that your hair looked, or even just the happy memories that are associated with a picture. And if you find yourself really struggling with this step, you want to start with pictures as far back as you can go. So your really, really young pictures, and then you're going to work your way up to more recent pictures that you have of yourself. And the absolute biggest win here is going to be when you're looking at a picture that you distinctly remember having negative body thoughts during that photo at the time that it was taken, and you can look back at that picture and know that the thoughts that you were having in that moment are not the same thoughts that you have now. So for example, if you were 16 years old and it was your birthday party and you remember thinking, God, I look so big in this picture, I don't even want to take a picture right now, I look so gross, I hate how I look, blah, 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 blah. And you look back at that picture now and you think, girl, what the fuck? You had abs. You literally had a six-pack. What do you mean you looked big? Because this is really gonna make it click for you. And you're gonna really realize how relative all of our thoughts are and how nothing is fact. No opinion that we have in any moment is actually something that is truly a fact in the world. And this is something that you can take with yourself as you go about your daily life, because when you start to have these negative thoughts, you can remind yourself, I'm probably not even gonna think the same thought about myself in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it might be. Step number 3 is understanding what health is to you. And there's absolutely no right answer to this question, because your health goals and what is healthy to you might be completely different from the next person. And notice I am not saying your aesthetic goals. Your aesthetic goals should never take priority over your health goal. To know what healthy means to you, you have to really know what the healthy habits are that the ideal version of you is doing on a daily basis. Are they eating veggies every day? Are they drinking half their body weight in water? Are they running a mile every single morning? Are they weightlifting? You have to get really clear on these goals, and you really have to get clear on your why behind these goals. Are you trying to achieve these things so that you can play with your kids a little bit longer? Are you trying to achieve them so that you can go on that Europe trip you've been planning forever and actually walk the entire time and not get super exhausted? Whatever it might be, you deserve to pick habits and goals that are aligned with your greater vision and all of the things that you actually want to achieve in this life. So your task for this chapter is just to analyze what things, what foods, what activities make you feel the best in your body. And this might take some time to really assess, but you want to figure out what foods make you feel slumped and what foods make you want to take a nap versus what foods make you feel really energized and make you feel like you're on top of the world. And the same with movement. So if running makes you feel just absolutely gassed and disgusting, don't do it. But on the flip side, if running makes you feel so energized and just makes you feel like you're on top of the world, go for a run as much as you can. Again, there's no right and wrong. This is going to be completely dependent for everybody. And just because your favorite influencer is bragging about a certain type of movement doesn't mean that that's automatically going to be something that you're aligned with and something that you actually love to do. Step number 4 is practicing acceptance through every single phase of your journey. I think that the absolute biggest problem is people putting their self-worth on beliefs like, I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds, I'll be happy when I have a six-pack, because that is the same thing as saying, I'll be happy when I get into a relationship. The truth is, if you're not happy with where you're at in the current moment, a change in your situation isn't going to magically make you happy all of a sudden. And this isn't to downplay the fact that unfortunately sometimes, yes, your body type does have an effect on how you're seen and treated in the world, and there's obviously no shame in wanting to be treated better in the world. But if that is your ultimate purpose for changing your body or going on a health journey, the results aren't going to last, because you're probably going to end up yo-yoing back to where you were originally because you didn't have a real purpose behind what you were doing that was rooted in anything you really wanted for yourself. And this is why I highly recommend trying to get to the root of why you have these thoughts and these habits and these beliefs around your health. Because if you don't understand these traumas and these beliefs about your health, then you will never be able to build a real sustainable lifestyle, because your lifestyle is always going to be rooted in this shame instead of doing it out of self-love and acceptance. And a lot of people think that if you start to fully accept yourself, you're just never going to want to go to the gym, you're never going to want to set a health goal ever again. And I think that this really speaks to the bigger issue, which is that people associate being healthy and wanting to set better health goals with being unhealthy and being restrictive. And I don't blame people for thinking that, because I think our society really has shown people only the unhealthy and the restrictive sides of a health journey. So it obviously makes sense that people would associate the two together. But the truth is, you can 100% achieve a health goal in a healthy way that is not super restrictive and not gonna make you feel like shit, if that's something you want to do, of course. I saw a quote the other day that I actually posted on my TikTok because it was just so good and I loved it so much. But it said, we cannot shame ourselves into change, we can only love ourselves into evolution. And I think that quote alone is something you really need to just let lead you on your fitness journey, because if you're constantly basing your fitness goals on the fact that you hate everything about yourself and you just want to change, it is never going to stick, and it's actually only going to backfire against you. So how do we make aesthetic fitness goals that are not rooted in shame and not super unhealthy? We're going to break this down into 3 parts. Part number 1 is you really want to decide how you want to feel. So without visualizing exactly what you want your body to look like, you want to try to just tap in to how the healthiest version of yourself really feels on a daily basis. So how are they going about their day? What thoughts are they having? What are they doing? And you can really reverse engineer it from here, because we've also already picked what forms of movement make us feel the best, what foods make us feel the best, and we are slowly creating that version of ourselves, whether we realize it or not. So with that end goal feeling in mind, you can kind of tailor everything, all of your habits, everything you're doing to try to get you to that goal without worrying about exactly how that version of you looks. Part number 2 is making progress-driven goals. So these are going to be goals that are actually trackable, really tangible goals that you can put down, write it on paper, and see whether you're getting closer to it or not. So if you're weightlifting, this goal might be to deadlift 2 times your body weight. And this is something you can look at, and every single week you can see if you're actually getting closer to that or not. If you're running, this might be to get a certain mile time. And again, you can track this out and you can actually see where you're at in comparison to this end goal. And creating goals like this that are really trackable is one of the best ways to start to switch your mindset to really focus on what your body can do instead of how it looks. And part 3 is to assess whatever aesthetic goal you might have. So if you have a goal that's something like to grow my glutes or to get a 6-pack, I'm not going to tell you to not have that goal because I'm trying to build an ass too, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But what we want to do is ask ourselves, if nobody else in the world were to praise you for this goal, would you still want to achieve this goal? And if the answer is yes, then I personally don't think it's a bad idea to want to have that goal. So for me, my goal is to grow my quads and my glutes at least 2 inches by the end of the year. And even if nobody in the world told me that that looked good, this is still something that I would want to do for myself. But if I were to realize that I only picked this goal because I saw a certain influencer shape this way and I decided I want to look exactly like them and I want other people to praise me like they're praising them, then that would be when maybe I shouldn't have this goal and maybe I should reassess some things, because that's when I'm basing my goals on outward validation instead of inward validation. And if you find yourself realizing that all of your goals are based on this outward validation, don't beat yourself up about it, because again, this is kind of what we've been programmed to want. So really just take this as an opportunity to do some inner work and figure out what you actually want, if anything at all. Again, you don't have to have an aesthetic goal if that's not something that is on your mind right now or something that you see yourself wanting to work toward. There really is no right answer here. It's 100% up to you how you shape your goals and how you choose to decide what you actually want to achieve. I kind of think we need to start looking at aesthetic goals the same way that we look at putting on makeup, because the problem doesn't lie in putting makeup on your face. The problem lies in putting makeup on your face because you absolutely hate the way that you look and you want to just cover everything up. But if you're putting on makeup because you just like it and you think it's fun and it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself, then there's really no harm in that, especially if you still love the way that you look without makeup on. You know that you don't absolutely have to put this on every single day, but it's just something you like to do. I also think that similarly to putting on makeup, the process is what really gives us that confidence. So I know for me, I'm not really that great at makeup, but when I take the time to blast some music, get lotioned up, really just sing my heart out while I'm doing my makeup, I feel so good about my makeup and I feel so confident in how I look because I was enjoying the process. I wasn't really focused on how my makeup actually turned out. I was just enjoying the time, really just taking the time for myself. And your aesthetic journey is kind of similar to that process. The confidence really isn't gonna come from the actual physical change of your body. The confidence is gonna come from the process of getting into the gym, really pushing yourself, finding out what your limits are, and just seeing what you can achieve. And this is why I don't think it's dangerous or should be considered a bad thing to want to have an aesthetic goal, as long as you've done the work beforehand to make sure that this goal is aligned with what you actually want for yourself. Your task for this really long-winded chapter is along the same lines of figuring out what works best for you. So we are gonna do this with our clothes. Your goal is to try on all of the clothes in your closet without looking in a mirror. And this is actually just a really great practice to start to have in general whenever you're putting on clothes. Just putting them on first and seeing how they feel on your body before you look at yourself in a mirror, because again, clothes are made to fit you, not the other way around. So by going through your clothes and figuring out what you actually feel comfortable in, you can start to figure out your style on a much deeper level, and you can start to craft outfits that you know that you're 100% gonna feel confident in, because you're basing this outfit not on how it looks on a mannequin, but how it feels on your actual body. And it's also important to note that what you feel confident in might change from day to day. So don't beat yourself up for loving an outfit one week and hating it the next week, because this is just a part of the process. Especially as a woman, and especially as a woman who menstruates, your body is going through so many changes from week to week, and things are never gonna be exactly the same. And finally, step number 5, we are working on releasing the assumption that everybody is thinking about you. We have to come to a place where we realize that nobody is thinking about our body as much as we are thinking about our own body. We are assuming that other people are constantly thinking about our body because that's what we're doing in our own heads. But in reality, nobody is giving your body a second thought. Literally no one. Think about it. Can you picture right now what your best friend's body looks like in detail? Are you picturing their cellulite? Are you picturing their extra arm fat? Are you picturing their double chin? Probably not at all. And that's if you can even picture their body in your mind. I know for me, I don't think I can picture what my best friend's body looks like because I am so focused on our memories being based around what we're doing in that moment, having a good time, just creating memories. There is no part of me that is focused on anybody else's body other than my own. I know what you're thinking, but Haley, people are mean and they comment on my body all the time, so I know other people are thinking about me. No. They are also only thinking about their own body in that moment. But the difference is they are so full of anger and shame around their own body that this manifests in them pushing it out onto other people. They are trying to find ways to make themselves feel less shitty about themselves. And so they're just trying to bring other people down to their level because in their fucked up little head, this makes sense to them. So it's not even your body that they're thinking of. You just happen to come into the line of fire of them wanting to shoot off shit to bring other people down to their same level. So next time somebody comments something mean about your body, you can realize that this is actually really sad because this means that they are literally so full of insecurities and shame that it is just spilling out of them. So don't even give it a second thought. Your task for this final chapter is to find ways to compliment people that have nothing to do with their body. And not only is that going to really seal the deal in your brain to stop focusing on physical appearance in general, but it's also going to open your brain up to looking for these attributes in yourself as well. Plus, I'm a firm believer that the more compliments you give out, the more good energy you're going to get back. And the more time you spend searching for the good in other people, the easier it's going to become to find it in yourself as well. I personally try to compliment at least 3 people in a day if I'm out and about, but honestly, I really should give any excuses because with social media, it is so easy. I could just as easily go on Instagram and comment 3 compliments on people's posts that have nothing to do with their body. So really, I need to just cut the excuses. But it is really nice to do it in person if you can because you get to actually see the person's reaction. And I just think, again, it's just, there's something with the energy there that's just like, you're just sharing it. You're sharing good energy. There is nothing bad that could ever come out of that. I also want to give you a little bonus task that if you muted or blocked anybody in that first step, now you want to try to unblock them, unmute them. Try to test yourself and see if you're still getting triggered by seeing other people just living their life or posting their body or sharing things that would have caused you to compare yourself in the past. Just test it and see how you feel now. See if you can start to analyze things and stop comparing yourself in that same way. Overall, your body is just a vessel on this earth and you literally only get one. So I really hope this episode helped to shed some light on some ways that you can start to overcome any negative body image that you were dealing with previously, and know that you can always come back to this episode to redo these steps if you ever feel like you just need a boost of confidence again, or you feel like you're slipping back into your old ways. As always, please share this episode on your Instagram story and tag me at Haley Lene and let me know what your favorite part of this episode was, or tag me in any of the tasks that you're doing as you follow this episode. Until next time, be kind to your mind, to your body, and to others, and happy healing.